So I'm here with the 40-inch StudioFX Pro DSLR slider from Amazon, which I bought for about $110. And I must say that I'm quite satisfied with the quality and build and performance of this product. So I'm just gonna go right ahead and point out some of my favorite features right off the bat. And the first of those is actually the build and quality of this DSLR slider. This is a ball bearing system, which means that you get the smoothest motion that you can possibly get out of this product. And this knob right here is to tighten and to loosen the base plate. And you see that it moves pretty smoothly, and it even continues to move even without me using my hand to actually move it. And that brings me to my next point, which is that at the end of the slider there are two rubber stoppers. So that means that when the base plate does reach the end, it kind of bounces back, which is nice so that you don't get such a hard stop once you do reach the end of your slide. So I have here with me my Canon DSLR, which is attached to a Francier Studio FT717A fluid tripod head. And I really do recommend buying a fluid tripod head so that you do get the most versatile and dynamic movements once you do attach it to your slider. And also it just kind of helps elevate your camera from the slider so that you get a little more leverage from the base plate. So I'm just going to go right ahead and attach this. So once you have your DSLR attached, you can go right ahead and just test it out for yourself. So you can see I have a pretty smooth movement to the left and right. And it requires very little effort here with the slider. It's kind of like a move of the finger, and it moves right on its own. A little harder of a push, and it hits that rubber stopper that I told you about, and it comes back the other way. Although this would look a little rough on footage, but it's there for, you know, for mobility's sake. One of the biggest benefits of having a fluid head is that you do have more security over your camera. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I mean by that. If I turn this 45 degrees this way, you can see that I have now a handle to hold on to, as well as the base plate or the lens or the camera itself as I move it across left and right. And this helps just to stabilize the camera, because say that you do have other accessories on top of your camera, such as another microphone or a monitor, you do get a lot of movement back and forth, because this base plate does not have too much width on it. So you have a lot of shaky movement like that when you do move sometimes, and you have a lot of weight on it. So having this handle here with the fluid head really helps to stabilize that movement, so you can avoid such things like that. So this slider can hold up to 15 pounds of camera weight and gear, but I do not recommend having more than 8 to 10 pounds, because once you do add more accessories and reach that threshold, you start to experience a lot of wobble and a lot of unstable movement, and that can really detract from the quality of your footage. If you do have a need to have a monitor, another microphone, say a sound recorder, and a lot of equipment on here, then you're better off buying or purchasing a higher end slider that can handle such weights. So I'm just going to go right ahead and show you some of the movements you can do with this DSLR slider. You can obviously do your left to right movements here for a very cinematic reveal and feel. You can also move it 45 degrees to get sort of an angular approach. And then you can move it another 90 degrees to get your dolly tracking shot from front to back and from back to front. And what you can also do is, once you get a feel and once you get past the learning curve for this slider, you can start to sort of move your camera as you slide. And that can give you some really dynamic shots. And if you unhinge or unlock your fluid head, say you're shooting straight back and forth, if you do a shot like this where you go down as you slide, you can get some really amazing shots out of the slider. So the possibilities are endless, which is why I really recommend getting a fluid head with your slider. So on the ends of the slider here, you do have two spots for 1/4 mounting, and as well as one spot here at the middle for your tripod mount. And you also have two 3/8 mounts on the ends of the tripod, as well as another 3/8 mount in the middle. So you do have a lot of places where you can mount your stands to, and the possibilities are endless. And you can also mount it on the side, so that's vertically, and I'll do that right now just to give you an example. So there it is. That is now a vertical mount with this tripod, and I'm going to go right ahead and attach my camera onto it. So now, as you can see, I have my camera vertically mounted, and what you do need to do for this is also turn the base plate on the bottom of your DSLR 90 degrees to get the camera to be situated in this direction. And once you do that, the same kind of mechanisms apply. You release the blue rod here, and now you can get your vertical motion. So from down to up. Now this kind of requires a lot more skill, and there also is a learning curve. You do have to be mindful of the gravitational pull of your DSLR downwards, and it also helps here to not have such a heavy DSLR as well. And also, once you're done with all these shots, you can do some post-production stabilization to help you really achieve those smooth-looking shots. Even though it's mounted with only a 1/4 inch screw, it's still pretty stable on its own as a standalone slider. So you can get a lot of dynamic shots with this. And even if you choose to unhinge this and move it to some degrees left and right, as you do move up and down, you can actually cheat some really cool cinematic movements with this slider here. This slider does come with 2 attachable base stands in the case that you'd want to put the slider on a flat surface or a table to get that sort of low motion if you're on the ground, or to just get more of a stable standing if you're not using 2 stands like this. One thing you do want to keep in mind if you are using one single tripod in the center of the slider is that when you do reach the edges, you might experience some slight tilting due to the weight exchange. And in order to avoid that, like I said, just avoid as much extra accessories as you can, and also just check the weight of your lens and camera as well. And if that does happen, then use 2 tripods. If you have a second plastic tripod lying around, there are, like I said, 2 1/4 mounts, so you can just go ahead and attach 2 tripods to your slider so that you don't experience that issue later on. So I'm just going to go right ahead and show you some examples of some footage that I've shot with this slider right here. Check it out. Go by the name of Coach Blue. To the space that I face, I was placed in by my Earth mother. Elating scenes from my worst summer. How you do? And that's it for today's review. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I hope this helped answer some of your questions about the StudioFX 40-inch Pro DSLR slider. See you soon.